Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the KABA number 204-023-00001. This is a latch extension is what this is. This will allow you to convert a lock to a 5-inch backset. Let's remove it from the packaging and take a closer look. So why would you want a lock with a 5-inch backset? Well, three reasons immediately off the top of my head. You could just like the looks of it. You might like, they might like how it looks further away from the door. That was a very common sort of design aesthetic in mid-century. If you were to dive into a Schlage catalog, a mid-century Schlage catalog, 12-inch, 18-inch backset. It was all the rage. The home I grew up in the home that I grew up in, built in the relatively early 1960s, had a 12-inch backset. Yeah, definitely 12. It wasn't in the center of the door. It was, I think I recall my dad saying 12-inch. And when my dad took the lock off the door and pulled that latch bolt out, it was just link after link after link, which is how that's usually, but not always, accomplished. Adding links together is not really necessarily what you want to do to increase a backset and make it exceptional, because you're taking the spring rate of this link and adding another one. Well, that spring rate is, not decreased at all. So the amount of force that it takes to turn the trim is noticeably longer when you're greater when you're adding links together. So some manufacturers will literally custom fabricate. I just did a 3 3/4 latch bolt, and that of course doesn't employ a link. It's just got it's modified, a 2 3/4 or maybe 2 3/8 modified with a shell that they've welded, but they've used a specific spring for that. So they might like how it looks. Number two is the hardware may actually require that it's at a 5-inch backset for whatever reason. The mechanical aspect of the hardware must be at a particular backset. It might be for functionality. You might have push-pull latches on hospital doors. Those are very commonly 5-inch. They can be longer than 5-inch. 7-inch is not uncommon or unheard of. 3 3/4, 5-inch, 7-inch. 5-inch is the most common, but the others are not unheard of because you want to make the door more usable. So moving the hardware away from the jamb to use a push-pull latch would be considered best practice, because why? I'm not turning a knob or rotating a lever. I'm hitting a paddle with my elbow. Not me personally, but someone, a healthcare worker, a nurse, a doctor, someone who's sanitized their hands isn't about to touch that hardware. They're going to hit it with something else. So getting it away from the frame could be a reason why you'd have a 5-inch backset as well. This particular lock, okay, so this is for an E Plex 2000 or an E Plex 5000 series lock. Yeah, you might have a 5-inch backset. You may have inherited a door with a 5-inch backset, and whatever hardware was on there, that's coming off, and an E Plex is going on. Well, we need a 5-inch backset because that's what the door's drilled at. That could be why these people are doing that. I don't see anything in particular about an E Plex that says 5-inch. 2 3/4 would be standard, but nonetheless, this will get us to 5-inch. So there are installation instructions here, which, quite frankly, are, it's of course very simple and standard by its very nature, and they are linked to down below. So let's first take a visual tour of what we get here. We get our backset extension link, the actual business end of the unit. Your latch bolt's going to connect here, and then this retracting stem will go into the retracting hub of the lock where you can pull that latch back. You'll also get a sleeve that may be a brass sleeve. So this is going to cover the linkage between the two, because it's absolutely crucial that those two latch bolts don't ever separate. And it's possible that they can, especially if you have let's say a hollow metal door. I don't see 5-inch backset on hollow metal doors, but you could, where that entire interior cavity is hollow. You don't want jostling around of the hardware inside of a door. Whereas if you had a wood door and it's drilled, it's bored with a 1-inch hole, there's really no opportunity for movement at all. But nonetheless, this sleeve is going to be required as a part of the installation because that's how it's been tested. Before we switch to the screen view and take a look at the supporting documentation, a couple of dimensional properties. The outside dimension of the sleeve is 1.05. 1.05, so just heavy on 1 inch. The length of the item, I don't need to be so accurate with the length, but the caliper's in my hand. Length 2.476, 2.476, so 2 7/16. A thickness of this material, it's going to be quite thin naturally. My caliper is telling me about 15 thousandths. Okay, so there's some dimensions of the sleeve, the overall length of the body itself, and of course nowhere on here will anything measure 5 inch. But the overall length of the body itself looks like it's about 2 1/4. Okay, so let's switch to the screen view where we can take a look at some supporting documentation. Okay, so here is the item that we are working with, the latch extension, and they're missing, of course, the image of the sleeve. Okay, and we have some supporting documentation. First, the installation instructions, which are linked to down below, and here they are. So these are going to work for a 3 3/4 or a 5 inch backset. And our 5 inch backset's over here on the right side. Defining of the parts, you basically put the extension down to your latch bolt. And that's how you're going to achieve your 5 inch backset dimension. Okay, super important to make sure that it's physically connected, and when you can pinch the retractor, you'll get full retraction of the face of the latch bolt. Then of course bring your sleeve over, and your project is done at that point with this. Okay, so now some supporting documentation as well. The 2000 and 5000 series parts list. Let's do this. Let's copy our part number, and then let's open our 2000 series parts list. And we'll do a find and paste, a control F. You'll find it listed there. It does not show up, however, as a published item, only under additional kits and accessories. Let's take a look at the 5000 series document and see what they come up with there. Control F. Okay, so it doesn't show up in the 5000 series at all, at least in this document. Okay, so in the 2000 series is where we're going to see that item there. And while it's nowhere published, you do start out with the 2 3/4 latch bolt to get to 5 inch. Some manufacturers will have you use a 2 3/4 latch bolt. Others will have you use 2 3/8. I've basically taken a 2 3/4 inch latch bolt and connected it to our conversion link, or our extension link, and confirmed that 2 3/4 would be required to get to a 5 inch backset. If you use 2 3/8, which you're not going to get out of this lock as standard, so it would be unusual for you to have a 2 3/8. You'd have to go out of your way to have specified that at the time of order. But if you did have a 2 3/8, you needed to get to 5 inch, you'd need not only this extension, but also the 2 3/4 latch bolt, which part number 8, you'd scroll to part number 8, and you'll see your part number here. The only difference between this 2 3/4 and this one is the finish. You've got satin chrome and satin brass. Be mindful, they're only 1/2 inch throw on these, so in the unusual circumstance where your door requirement, if it was a fire-rated door and your door requirement on the label said 3/4 inch min latch throw or something else, yeah, you'd have a problem with that. This is a 1/2 inch latch throw on this lock. As an aside, I don't believe that you're bumping into that, but once a year someone has a problem because they need a 3/4 inch latch bolt, and it's not made in that lock manufacturer's offering, as it's not in the E Plex. So it does, you do bump into it, unfortunately. There is a link here to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the KABA access products that we sell here, but a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog and several other encyclopedic documents that are here as well. Let's wrap up this video on camera. In conclusion, this is just a Backset link, nothing too special or fancy about it. The name KABA is a name synonymous with many different variants of companies and product groups. Dorma KABA is under now the same umbrella that also has under it Stanley, Stanley hardware, hinges, all of their commercial hardware as well. Precision exit devices, Best Lock is under that as well. The KABA access that is most certainly associated with a mechanical or a combination style lock would certainly be not only having electronic combination control over a door, but its mechanical brethren, the Simplex Unican mechanical, the L1000 series. But then, of course, KABA's name is going to be synonymous with hospitality. You go to your door in your hotel, swipe card, Prox reader, that's all their material as well. That's its entire universe. But then you've got KABA Ilco, Independent Lock Company, which is headquartered in Raleigh-Durham, I think, North Carolina, or Winston-Salem. I think it's Winston-Salem. Mechanical cylinders, and then all kinds of other variants. And I'm not simply aware of all of the spread of KABA. I'm familiar with their high-security cylinders and the evolution of their high-security cylinders. The KABA Gemini is a name or Quattro is another name that you may have heard of if you've ever been exposed to high-security cylinders. Basically, it's a dimple key. It's a key that has a six-sided blade, even though it looks like it's just flat. It is technically six-sided. And then there are dimples drilled in the key in proper locations. And they're dimple sort of tumblers, and that is a fascinating platform of high-security cylinders for a couple of reasons. Just the shape of the pin tumblers has to be accounted for, the curved profile of a cylinder plug. So neat stuff. Nothing to do with this, however. If you have any questions on the KABA 20-40 2300001 5-inch extension or any other KABA product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.